Hello and welcome to part 10 of Zelda II: The Adventure of Link. This time I'm going through the Hidden Palace. This is the last palace which you have to place a crystal inside the statue. Once we do that, we'll finally unlock the Great Palace, in which the former King of Hyrule hid the Triforce of Courage. So we are almost done with this adventure, but first we have to make our way through this palace. This palace is significantly more difficult than the ones we've played through so far. First of all, there's blue iron knuckles everywhere. I mean, there's probably a good 6-7 of them in here. There's a couple of mini boss battles here. First time we've seen that in this game. And also there are holes everywhere, so you'll see what I mean here. You can drop down holes and it takes you to different parts of the dungeon, and it's just very confusing to navigate through this entire palace just because of the way you can fall through holes, and it just makes it very confusing, especially without a map or anything like that. Because remember, this is the days before Zelda games had maps, so you just kind of had to do this on pen and paper if you wanted to map things out. Anyway, there's a Moa throwing fire everywhere. Gotta hate that. But you can just upward stab him and bam. It's a nice easy way to kill them. There's a points bag here. That's the only reason I came all the way over here. And like I said, since this is the last palace before the Great Palace, which is the end of the game, you want to make sure you max everything out. You want to be level 8 sword, 8 magic, 8 health, just so you're ready for the Great Palace, because it's quite challenging. So if you have to farm a couple screens here and there, be sure to do that. You want to make sure you are max level on everything by the time you finish this palace. And remember, you don't need keys here because we have the magical key now that opens every door. And here are some Wizrobes, reflect spell to kill them. Thankfully they're not nearly as annoying as they were in the first Zelda game. And here's the Doom Knocker we haven't seen in a while. And here I don't know why I'm going back here. I think I just wanted to kill that Wizrobe. I felt vengeful. I think I was walking, and on my way out of this room I remembered, you know what? Those Wizrobes in Zelda 1 were a pain in the ass. I'm gonna go back and kill this one as vengeance. So that's what I did there, and I'm continuing onwards. Here's the first Iron Knuckle we encounter in this palace, definitely not the last. Bam, check that out. Slap him in the mouth, throw him down the hole. No respect. But he's down here, you can finish him off. And grab a points bag, 200 points, good stuff. And this is what I mean by the holes. You can just fall down and it takes you to different parts of the dungeon. It's very difficult to navigate. And there it is again. You can see how this can get pretty confusing pretty quickly. And I came all the way down here because there's a points bag, and obviously I want to get that, just so I can show you guys, and also so I can have experience. More holes. Like I mentioned, it's never ending. And I got lucky there, I got a magic refill. Here's yet another Iron Knuckle. Check this out. If you use the spell, you can actually turn any enemy into a bot. Not any enemy, but most of them. It's definitely useful for these blue Iron Knuckles. Definitely easier to kill a bot than it is a blue Iron Knuckle. I'm sure nobody will argue with that one. So here I use the reflect spell to kill some Wizrobes, grab a ton of experience, and make my way through these shooting wolf heads. I have a couple close calls here, I think. Yeah. Don't play as risky as I'm playing when you're going through this little wolf head stuff. You don't want to take unnecessary damage. There's plenty of other places to die. There's this blue Iron Knuckle. He really wants to fight, but I'm just going to leave him in this little timeout room here. He's not coming out of there. He's just going to chill out. So there's that points bag. Be careful when you break through this floor, because if you break at the wrong time, that bubble's going to shoot out at high velocity and just come out with a vengeance and just explode everywhere. It's not going to be good. So just be careful with that. And here I'm going to tease the blue Iron Knuckle a little bit. Definitely not going to fight him. Just going to leave him there, piss him off. And I need to come up here so I can continue that way towards the right. I'll be coming back here to go down the elevator, but first I'm going to go here, upward stab that dude, and kill some Wizrobes, of course. So I use my jump spell there because there's a hole in the ground and you can't see it, it's invisible. But right when I jumped there was a hole in the ground, and I'm actually gonna fall down that hole on my way out. But you don't want to do it on your way in. Here you think you're at the end of the palace, but no, this is just a blue iron knuckle charging in on his steed, and this is what I meant by mini bosses in this dungeon. But these guys are not too bad. One sword hit killed that guy after I took him out of his horse. 300 experience points. He leaves the key. You don't really need it because you have the magical key, but you can continue onwards and grab the cross. This item lets you see invisible moas, and there's a few of them in the old town of Kasuto, and there's also a ton of them on the Valley of Death, which is on the way to the Great Palace. So here I'm going to fall down that hole that I jumped through earlier. There it is. You can see. So, yeah, there's a cross in this game. It's kind of strange because there's a couple of Christian theology references in this game so far. First we had the boots that allowed you to walk on water, and then we have this cross. We never have any theological references in any other Zelda games for the most part, unless you really want to extrapolate and use your imagination. But for some reason this one had both a cross and the ability to walk on water. It's kind of strange considering, you know, this is a Japanese game, and you know, the Eastern world doesn't really subscribe to Christianity as much as we're used to here in the West. I don't know. It seems like it would be difficult to assume that it was unintentional to have both of those references in one game and not want it to mean anything. But anyways, you can see you can block the Wizrub spells here without reflecting it. If you don't use a reflect spell, you can still block it, you just can't do any damage by reflecting it back at them. And here's that place that I mentioned I'd be coming back to. I came up from the elevator on it and just destroyed this Doom Knocker. And here, can't make this jump, so I get impatient. I just go ahead and use the jump spell, doesn't matter, and make my way backwards. And here's our little friend, the Blue Iron Knuckle. He's still in his timeout room. What a douche. I hope he learns his lesson. So, quite a bit of backtracking here, just to make sure I'm going to where I need to go. It's an Iron Knuckle we already fought. If you remember, this is the one we turned into a bot and then massacred. But this time we're fighting him regular. Falling down more holes. And another one. And yet another Blue Iron Knuckle. This one I just skipped because I'm tired of doing Blue Iron Knuckles. There's so many of them in this palace, like I mentioned. So some Wizrubs here, I'm not even going to bother using the Reflect spell, I'm just going to block these attacks, I don't care. Fight this Iron Knuckle. And continue onwards. And here, you can use the Fairy spell and just make it across this giant cesspool of lava. It can be quite difficult, there's a ton of bubbles, there's these little things that drop blobs at you, and it's quite risky, you just have to be careful, be patient, don't rush through it, or you will die. So once you make it through that, there's a couple Stalfos and a Moa here, and they are guarding a Link doll. Up ahead, actually. There's still quite a way to go before the Link doll. I don't know why I brought it up so early. There's first another mini-boss that actually stands in our way. It's the same exact one. It's a Blue Iron Knuckle that comes riding forth on his steed. He just looks so silly. The way he's sitting, he's like leaning back like a boss. It's kind of weird. But this one takes 2 hits to kill. And just be patient. Just wait for him to stop throwing swords at you and slap in the mouth, break his teeth. Grab the key. You don't have to since you have the magical key. So it's a crazy little jump. If you want to live life on the edge like I do, don't use a jump spell, but if you want to be safe, do use a jump spell. I used the spell there because I didn't feel like dealing with that blue iron knuckle. Tired of them. 2 bubbles guard the Link doll, and since it's a very narrow path here, they shoot out very fast at you, so just be prepared to deal with them. You can't use the downward thrust on them since you can't really jump here, so just be prepared to stab a bunch of times at them, and then come back and fall down this hole, and immediately use the fairy spell so you can come down this passage over here. And here we are at the boss of the Hidden Palace. This is one of the cooler bosses in the game because he's unique. His name is Barba. Fun fact in Portuguese, I'm from Brazil and we speak Portuguese in Brazil. And in Portuguese, Barba means beard. So that's what this boss is. And you'll probably be reminded of Volvagia from Ocarina of Time. So it's interesting to see some bosses from the Zelda games make several appearances in different kind of forms. There's definitely a resemblance between this guy and Volvagia for sure. So basically you want to use the jump spell so you can move from platform to platform easier. I think that definitely helps out. And then just kind of smack him in the face and jump to another platform to avoid his fire attack. And that's pretty much all there is to this fight. And once you kill him, it gives you 700 experience points, a key. You can go on and place the 6th and final crystal in its statue. This will lift the barrier from the Great Palace where the Triforce of Courage is hidden. So we can finally go over there and get the Triforce of Courage and awaken the sleeping Princess Zelda. So right here, I'm finally going to level up my... well, actually I already maxed everything out, so now I'm going to get extra life. So every time you level up after you've maxed out, you get an extra life. So, thanks for watching, and be sure to join me next time where I will be completing this adventure in the final video. Thanks again.